Now, on this channel we have covered many kinds of games in the name of achievement grinding, from fighters to fishing sims to being a fish sim, and so much else. It was only a matter of time before a game like Viva Pinata got added to the list, and honestly, after merely mentioning it in my previous video, the comments demanding this game were so loud that I knew it was time to get some gardening done. So here we are. Today we are going to be tending to our garden and trying to catch pinata versions of so many animals. Oh, and of course grinding all 50 achievements as well. So if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, because if you folks want to see more, I am more than happy to play the sequel in the future. So like the video if you want that. However, enough faffing around, let's get into it. Welcome to the achievement grind. Now, for those of you that don't know, the premise of Viva Pinata is simple. You are in control of a garden, and you may do whatever you want. The goal is to attract new pinata versions of animals to your garden and to get them comfortable enough to become a resident, with some obstacles along the way, as I'm sure you'd expect. But anyway, with that, let's head down to our lovely garden. Well, that's not too lovely at all. Now, before I could assess what to do next, a crying woman stopped me in my tracks. This is Leafos, and she is our little guide to everything Viva Pinata. She hands us the journal as well as our first tool, a very disgusting rusty shovel. Amazing, just what I always wanted. But it'll do the job nicely. With this shovel, we start mulching everything into dirt, and by doing so, we unlock the first pinata, a worm, or whorlm. I don't know how you pronounce it. And yes, all of the animals have fun, sweet related names. However, since we've completed the appear requirements by having a certain amount of dirt, that caused the whelm to appear. Now, every animal species has different appear requirements. It could be about how much water, grass or mud you've got in your garden, what other pinatas you've unlocked, or even a certain medal that causes them to appear. And at the very minimum for achievements later on, we need to get 50 different species to call this land home. With plenty of mud though, the worm then feels comfortable enough to visit. As a reward, Leafos gives us a grass packet, which will shock you folks to the core when I say that this is used to add grass to your landscapes. Who would have thought, eh? However, with all of the rubble cleared and fresh grass getting added, the first whelm decides that this is the perfect place to call home, and he becomes a resident, also gaining his colour in the process. Now, we're not going to be talking about every single animal that appears and what we did for them to make themselves residents. However, if there are achievements related, that's when I'll give you the context, of course. However, with that, folks, we actually have our first achievement. As since we now have two whelms, I wanted to keep these two to the very end of the game, so I thought two memorable names might be in order. So this is Oil, and for naming Oil and his brother Radiator, we also unlocked our first achievement, Pinata Name Caller. With this, we also unlock, Willy Builder. I swear to God I'm not making that up. Willy Builder is the gent that you can pay to build houses for your pinatas. After all, pinatas need houses if you want to romance them, and for achievements we do indeed. So we hire him to make a worm house and Willy gets straight to work. For God's sake, why did they name him that? Now, with this house fully finished, this completes the whelm's romance requirements. Now, for achievements and game progress, we need to become a master romancer of 20 different species. Now, like becoming a resident, each pinata has some romance requirements. We must tick off every requirement for two pinatas so that the heart above them shows on their heads. When that does and they have a home, we can romance them and play a short minigame where you have to get from one side to the other to meet your mate. Once done, you'll be treated to the best animations that this game has to offer, the romance dance. And honestly, let me just show you a couple of these. So with the dance now done, the family will grow by one thanks to Storkos and her egg delivery system. She drops the worm egg, which is odd to say, but eventually the egg will hatch and our new child will be among us. However, we don't stop there. For achievements, we need to be the master romancer of 20 species, which means that we need to romance each species 6 times. So we get to work. Now, up next is another achievement, and it is simply to create a design that will be stitched onto pinatas. It's very simple, and we unlock the next achievement, Label Designer. At this point, Leafos then trusts us with seeds. Another part to this gardening game is to grow many plants of different calibers, as you would imagine. So we get given a turnip seed and a watering can. And as you can imagine, growing plants is pretty self-explanatory. Now, once the turnip has grown, I decided that it would be a lovely snack for a worm, and when demolished, the worm spins around and changes colour. It turns out that every piñata has 3 secret colour variations that you can bring out by feeding them different things. So we have just found our first. We then meet our next best friend, Seedos. He is a gardening enjoyer, as you can imagine by his name, and he is obsessed with seeds, often referring to them as his best friends. What a loser! What the fuck? Anyway, every time he visits your garden, you can talk to him and he will give you new types of seeds for free. So he is a decent friend to have, to be honest. By now, we had also unlocked the Master Romancer for the worms and decided to move on to the Sparrow Mints that had recently moved into the garden as well. Next, we're also introduced to Lottie, the local shop owner and chocolate coin obsessed loony, but she has a lot of stuff that we will need in the future, so we will be visiting her shop often. A couple more points to mention before we get some more achievements. Now, in this game, there are evil piñatas of animals, and the first we are introduced to is the Shelly Bean. If the sour kind of piñata visits your garden, they will start a fuss. However, we can tame them and transform them into regular piñatas once we meet the requirements. So we will be trying to tame all the sour versions of animals as well, as there are a lot of achievements tied to them. Now, from playing this game a hell of a lot as a kid, I still had a lot of leftover knowledge about this game. And the next was around the new resident to our garden, the Taffly. Now, with a very small amount of animals in the game, you can evolve them into completely new species, and the Taffly is one of those, as by having it fly through fire and then putting it out with water, it transforms itself into a red hot, so we'll be finding more evolutions throughout the game as well. Anyway, enough faffing, it's time for an achievement, as when we make 5 different species resident in our garden, we also unlock Collector. Over the next day or two, quite a bit happened. We met Gretchen Fetchum, who can hunt piñatas for you, for a price of course. The sour Shelly Bean visits and we learn that all we have to do to transform it is for it to eat an apple seed, and we're also introduced to Jardinero, the old gardener of this land before he retired, and also the level system. The more medals and awards we get, the higher our level goes. With each level we can gain many benefits, such as shovel upgrades, land upgrades and title stuff. All is good, and we get our first shovel upgrade immediately from him. However folks, let's get to some of those achievements, as by this time we have grown our 5th plant to maturity, and for doing so we unlock green fingers. Now, something else that you can do is also buy fertilizer from Lottie's. By choosing the right colour and using it at the right time, you can give 3 boosts to a plant's growth and significantly increase its wealth, its size, or how many flower heads it can bloom. And for getting full bonus growth on 5 plants, we also unlock Horticulturalist. By now, we also had a couple of shovel upgrades under our belt, so we could now dig ponds. We had a couple more piñatas as residents, and our garden is looking much more lovely throughout. In fact, we were doing so well that when we reached level 10, we unlocked another achievement, Talent. For reaching level 10, we also unlocked Arthur's Inn. For some small jobs around the garden, we can hire people through him, and they come and do the work for us. Now, honestly, they're not really needed, however, each type of gardener comes with an achievement. So when we unlock the Sprinkler Worker, we hire her immediately and unlock the next achievement, surprisingly, Sprinkling. Who would have thought? We actually get 2 here though, as when the Sprinkler Woman arrives, we give her a new appropriate name and unlock the achievement Help a Name Caller. Now, honestly folks, we're long past the tutorial, and with a fair grasp of the situation, hopefully we'll be able to start going through these achievements quite rapidly soon, as most of them aren't that tricky, to be honest. Now, one of the tricks I remember very well from playing this as a kid was how to make decent money early on, and it all revolves around chilies. Now, for some reason, chilies are one of the only plants in the game that you can have growing right next to each other, and they are also worth 400 coins each once they've been fertilized. So you can spam a small area with them, fertilize them all, and then sell them all in bulk once they've bloomed, and you'll make a pretty decent profit. It's perfect for early game, so we did this the moment we could. At this point, we also got our first garden space upgrade. It's only small, but it really does make a difference, as well as give us the next achievement, Landowner. After sorting out the new space, the chilies had grown, and we had made over 8,000 on the first batch, and with the second batch made it well over 10,000, which was so very worth it. The Gatherling Helper then appeared next, so we quickly hired her of course, and in doing so unlocked Gatherling as well. Phenomenal names of the achievements here, but she isn't the only new face that we meet here, as Ivor the Beggar then comes scraping out of the side of the mountain. Now this chap, as his name would suggest, is a beggar, and he comes to try and get his hands on our hard-earned coins, the git. Now for the longest time playing this as a kid, instead of giving to those in need, instead I used to hit him in the head with a shovel. However, as you'll see why eventually, this time we put our compassionate foot forward and slide this beggar a cool 10,000 coins. And he runs away as happy as a homeless man that has just been given 10 grand for doing sod all. Wait. Anyway, the reason why we did this was for our next achievement, Generosity, as Ivor then opens his own shop. He sells extremely rare finds and equipment that we will need later for achievements, so being generous has really paid off for now. Throughout the game so far, I feel like I'm making wonderful progress. New animals are still visiting and I'm making decent progress on gaining medals for pretty much every aspect of the garden. Now, I mentioned earlier that the Taffly is the first evolution that I got in the game, but then I realised that they actually have another ability that isn't really necessary other than for the achievement, of course. And Tafflies have the ability to create fertilizer out of fruit and veg. So we steered one into the direction of an apple, and when it transformed, we unlocked the next achievement, Taffly Fertilizer. And the next achievement came quite quickly after that as well, as we then unlocked the Weedling. And you'll be amazed to hear that when we hire one for our garden, we also unlocked Weedling. Shocking, I know. However, here we also unlocked something else as well, the Pinata Tower. Occasionally you'll be given a challenge to pack a certain type of pinata to fire it away to a birthday party within the allotted time. We need to do this a bunch throughout the game, so whenever we get one of these, we will be trying our hardest to complete it. We are then also introduced to the Ruffians. These bastards work on behalf of Professor Pester and can really ruin your garden, either by starting fights, ruining the layout, and just such like that. However, you can just pay for them to leave, so we mostly did that as it doesn't really cost that much. With another level, we are also given a new shovel, and with the very best head that we can put on it, we unlock our next achievement, Super Shovel. And watch out, we've got another new type of helper, the Watchlings, and they can help protect your garden for you. With one hired, we also unlocked Watchling. For now though, it's back to more of the same, trying to get rarer pinatas into my garden, romancing the ones that we do have, and just grinding those player levels as well. However, the next achievement I wanted to tackle was for the variants. We have 2 variant related achievements, so we got to work in turning all of the animals that I own into funny colours. On the 5th, we unlocked variants, and as you can tell, a bunch of thought went into these achievement names as well. You'll love to see it. For now though, we just continued working our way down the grindier of the achievements, and by doing so, we had put a ton of money and time into our lovely little square of land. So much so that we've managed to get the overall value over 25,000, and in doing so, unlocking our next achievement, Garden Value. Now, honestly folks, there isn't really too much to talk about for the next couple of hours, as we just did what we did best. So instead of boring you by explaining every little thing that we did the exact same time as I've already done, let's just go through some of the achievements instead until I have something worth talking about again. The next we went for was for having a lot of money on us. We were repeating the chili trick just to make sure I had enough coins to do basically whatever I wanted, and it was working a treat. So when we sold yet another batch of hilariously humongous chilies, with that we also unlocked Wealthy. Next we bought a Cluckles from Paper Pets, a store that lets you put outfits on your animals. Now this chicken, like the Taffly, has a unique power that we're going to take advantage of. You can use them to prematurely hatch eggs. When an egg popped up, the chicken hatched it, and we unlocked Cluckles Hatches Egg. God damn, I hate boring achievement names. After this, I also wanted to evolve another pinata, and remembered quite well that the Newt Gats could also do that. It was perfect timing as well, since the Newt Gats were the pinata that I was currently going for Master Romance. So when we had enough to spare, we fed one a chili, unlocking the Salamango and the achievement Evolver. Now, for one of the sour pinatas, the requirements to tame them involve some medicine. Now, for this, you need to use Bart, another member of the village, to help transform some honey into it. However, when we bought and placed the honey in the garden, we unlocked Harvester for having a harvestable item in the garden, which is a really easy achievement. By now, we had also had a couple more levels thrown our way, and with this, we unlocked the final garden space upgrade, making it as big as possible, and with that, also unlocking Master Landowner. I don't know if you can be the master of owning land, because by that logic, I can be the master frazzle enjoyer, because I do enjoy a good bag of frazzles. Now, earlier I mentioned that we needed to tame a sour animal with some medicine. Well, finally, the bastard crow decided to eat it. When he did, we finally hit the requirements for our second sour animal, and when it transformed, we unlocked Sour Tower, as well as the Crowler's Piece on said tower, which basically makes sure that the sour versions of animals don't appear anymore, so they really are worth it in my opinion. However, we've still got a lot of sour friends left to make just yet. Now, a little while and even more levels later, I decided to visit Ivor again, and then I realised he had finally got the One Paw Wonder, the best watering can in the game, and when bought and unlocked, we also get Watering Can Do. And finally, an achievement name with some chest hair on it. Wonderful. And with those extra levels as well, we also unlocked the last helper type possible, the Diggling. These people, as you would expect, use mines to find rare items, but honestly, they don't really have anything that we need for the rest of the achievements. But you know what comes next, folks, as when we hire him, we also unlock Diggling. By this time, we were making some really good progress. The sour raccoon, the crocodile, the baboon, and the wolf had made themselves known. We just needed to get these tamed fast for some more achievements, but we were also making great progress everywhere else as well. And in fact, that evening, we also had our 5th challenge request, which was for a humble fly. Once that tiny, terrified Taffly by his packed and scent, we also unlock yet another achievement, Challenger. And honestly folks, trust me when I say that for the most part, and if you're thorough, this game just chucks achievements at you. It is great for those quick dopamine hits. However, we have hit our first slight hurdle folks, something that horrendously slowed me down. Now for a couple of achievements later down the road, we desperately needed to get a Swanana to Resident, and the requirements are fairly easy. Have enough water in the garden and a couple of sandwiches for the swan to shove them down its throat. So confident, I placed the food and got back to romancing whilst waiting for this bird. With another level, we also get the final shovel upgrade, and with this unlocked, as you can imagine, another achievement. This time, shovel strength, for having the best in the game. By this time though, we also had another big break as well, as it's finally time for our first Romance Master achievement. As later that night, whilst I'm tending to my bulrushes, the final egg pops on the salamangos, which grants me the 5th Master Romance ribbon, and the next achievement, Romancer. However, whilst trying to get a Sour Maca Raccoon to become a resident, this is where Professor Pester is introduced, the main big baddie of the franchise. This highly educated tosspipe will eventually enter your garden and just start smashing your pinatas to pieces, if you don't pay him enough or quickly enough. He's a bastard. However, with decent funding, you will never truly be bothered by him. Well, in premise anyway. Next, we'd also managed to grow 25 different types of tree, flower and food in the garden, and with that also unlocked Master Green Fingers. And thankfully, even with Professor Pester's intrusion, we were able to get the Maca Raccoon to turn and become a friendly friend. And with that, I suddenly remembered that I hadn't gone for any of the achievements tied to the sour animals yet, and for them we just have to use their powers and abilities, so it's time to go through them. Now, the tame version of the raccoons is simple. It gives you the option for it to leave your garden in search for some free romance sweets, nothing too complicated at all. However, the achievement can be a little bit buggy, as when it brings a sweet back, there's a chance that it just won't pop. So you just have to rinse and repeat, and that's what we did until we finally unlocked Maca Raccoon Gift. Next was the Sharebat. Now, there is an enemy called Dastardos, and he has the ability to kill sick pinatas if you don't heal them in time. Now, when he starts going in for the kill, you can use a Sharebat to dance at him, stunning him temporarily and unlocking Sharebat Dance. Now, oddly enough though, the Crawler's requirements are the exact same, so we beat another pinata ill, and when Dastardos arrives to ruin the day, this time a Crawler dances at him and we unlocked Crawler Delay. However, with those out of the way, our main mission besides romancing was to still try and get this bastard swan in my garden, but it just was not appearing at all. We had the requirements, however it would just not show, and it was actually starting to get quite annoying as a lot hinges on this bloody bird. But with nothing that we can do for now, we just carried on as normal with all of our fingers crossed that we would eventually get one. Now honestly, for the next 4 or 5 days there wasn't anything to report. We had started getting as many colour variants as possible whilst romancing, and we even had managed to make a 4-head snake, which is a pretty cool choice to be honest. But wait, actually, speaking of more colour variants, this is where we unlock our next achievement. As with one final colour change of a crawler, we unlock Variance Master. Now folks, there are also 2 achievements in the game based on pinata value, and with a very rare 4 eyes in our garden, I thought that this was the perfect opportunity to try and get the value up for those 2 achievements. So we took them into Paper Pets and put the most expensive shit that we could find on them. When we leave, we immediately unlock pinata value, for having a pinata worth over 5 grand. Unfortunately, however, we were a couple hundred shy of the 10,000 mark for the other achievement, so we will have to wait for a bit of a rarer animal. However, while still waiting for that bloody swan, we decided to get a couple of easy achievements covered as well. We just needed to have 100,000 coins on us at once, and we also needed the garden to be worth 100,000 coins as well. Quite easy actually, as by now the animals that we had were worth a lot of money, and we also had a lot of expensive plants and stuff to sell. So we soon made it to the 100 grand mark really quickly and unlocked Wealth Master. Then by going to Ivor and placing 8 very expensive swords in the garden, we also unlocked Garden Value Master. But wait, what's that? In the corner of my eye? Oh my god, it's a bastard swan. It only took hours for this prick to show itself, so when it entered the garden, we throw all of the sandwiches that we have at it, and like a miracle, the bitch decides to eat them and finally become a resident. Folks, I cannot stress how happy this made me. With the swan now unlocked, we can tame the sour wolf, the sour crocodile, make a rare hybrid breed with another animal, and just be genuinely happier as a person. First step to romance the swan with a pig. Yep, I am not joking in the slightest. I'm being super serial. So we bought a pig, got them both hornier than a bag full of rhinos and rams, and let them smash pasties in the comfort of their own home. When their egg is delivered, we got the cluckles to hatch it, and with that we unlock the next achievement, Pigsy Prize, for creating this abomination. With this rare flying pig now ours though, we can now finally tame the Malawolf. It worked a treat, and after all of that effort, we just served that Pigsy up on a silver plate and got the Malawolf fed, also taming him into a wonderful new addition to the garden. And by doing this, we also had reached 6 tamed sour animals and unlocked unlocked Master Sour Tower. But specifically for the Malawolf achievement, we just need to wait for some ruffians to appear first, which can take a fair moment. And literally 1 minute later, thanks to some more swans being fed on, we also have the crocodile tame as well. Now his achievement is much simpler. All we have to do is plant any plant in the garden and have him cry a little bit on it. When he does, he fertilizes that plant and we unlock the achievement Crocodile Tears. By this time I was certain that I was only 1 or 2 fully fertilized plants off our next achievement as well, and I was. We showered a growing blackberry bush in some fertilizer and unlocked the next achievement, Master Horticulturalist, for getting to 25 fully grown plants. Now finally folks, we have the ruffians come to visit. So instead of normally just paying them off, this time we have the Malawolf give them quite the scare of a lifetime, and by having them run away from the fear, we also unlock Malawolf Howl. We are truly getting there now folks, not that many left. However, some of the achievements that we're dealing with now are the longer and more intense ones in the grind. However, we move on. Now at this point I had managed to find 4 evolutions in the animals out of 5, and for the life of me I could not remember what animal was meant to be turned. We then found out that it is indeed the Horstachio, and by feeding one a blackberry and a daisy head we managed to transform it into a Zumbug, and with that we have unlocked Master Revolver. Now for related achievements, the last animal that I needed was a tunicorn, a very rare animal, and one that can take quite a bit of time to get one resident in your garden. So getting one of these is our next big mission alongside still doing the romances and the challenges. And our next achievement came quite soon after actually. However, I was expecting to unlock this quite a while ago. We simply played the game for 10 real life hours in game. Very simple, and with that we then unlocked longevity. So everything we had done up until this point alone had just taken about 10 hours, which was a lot quicker than I was expecting, and this filled me with dread as there is another achievement that we need for playing for 50 real life hours in game. That one is gonna suck. However, in a way we are getting much closer to the end now. Finally though, at long last we have a resident tunicorn, and because of this we can now cross off the next 4 achievements. With this animal we have reached 50 total different pinatas that have been made residents, and with that unlock Master Collector. Also, since these pinatas are rare as hell, we unlock a ton of points and finally reach level 50. For getting there we also unlock the achievement Master Talent. For the next, I just have to very quickly cave this Zumbug's skull in. Horrible to do, I know, however needs must for gamerscore. When the Zumbug is on its fecking uppers, we then use the tunicorn to heal the injured baby, and with that we also unlock tunicorn healing. Next we visited Paper Pets with the tunicorn again and covered it in the most expensive trash that we could find, and thankfully on the tunicorn the value reached over 10 grand and we unlocked Pinata Value Master. Only 3 achievements left to go now folks, and fortunately the next 2 weren't too far behind, as we are finally on the last Master Romance award needed. Throughout the game so far we had become experts on making certain pinatas smash pasties, and the final pinatas ready for romancing was cows, or Moozipan, great name by the way. So when we finally hatched that cow egg, which is something that I never thought I'd say, we unlock Master Romancer. So with that we've officially got nothing to do until we get enough challenges for our next. So genuinely I just put my controller down and did other things whilst I waited for the party frog to get in touch. Again though, we wasn't waiting long. The last pinata that we needed wasn't even specific, it just had to be of a decent value. I could have sent any. So wanting to show off my amazing King Croc, we sent him away and unlocked Master Challenger for finally hitting 20. With that we only have one final achievement, to reach 50 real life hours in game. This achievement is absolutely silly. If I can get the rest done in about 15 hours, then to have to do another 35 on top of that for one achievement is stupid. So for this, I did nothing. I simply spent the next week loading into the game and just waiting in the garden whilst doing other things. I know that I could have still played the game and gone for more pinatas and rare rewards, but honestly, I didn't feel the need to, so we just waited. Day by day, we got closer and closer to that beautiful 50-hour mark, and then out of the blue, and oh so thankfully close to a week later, after the last achievement, we then hit 50 hours and unlocked Longevity Master. I wasn't too pleased about leaving my Xbox idle for about 40 hours, but it is what it is. Finally, we have the achievement that made this grind so much longer than it needed to be. However, that's irrelevant as for now, the grind is over. Now honestly, Viva Pinata is one of my guilty pleasure games. There is nothing better to me than just getting comfy and spending a couple of hours just relaxing with some good music and friendly gameplay. Honestly, it's a perfect game to waste some time on, and I will stand by that until the Moozipans come home or the Pixies fly. Now honestly folks, if you did enjoy this grind, please like and subscribe, as I would adore to cover this sequel in the future. So if you do want to see it, please let me know. However, enough messing around, let's just get straight to the stats. For Viva Pinata, it took exactly 50 hours to get all 50 achievements that are possible in this game. game. I'm going to be giving this game a 7.5 out of 10. As I said, this game is perfect to wind down to or to spend a day relaxing on. However, there are some limitations that I didn't expect. My garden would often appear full even though visually there wasn't much in it at all, which was really annoying, and some pinatas just outright didn't appear, even with the correct requirements. And I can't lie, I already know that I love the sequel more, as it just streamlines the experience and adds a hell of a lot more content, which is fantastic, so by comparison, this one is a little worse off. However, with a 7.5, that score is still hilariously respectable, and I would recommend this game to just about anybody, so keep that in mind if you want to give it a go yourself. For difficulty of the achievements, I'm going to be giving it though a 4 out of 10. The 50 hours grind achievement bumps this up by a couple of points, as you won't get this naturally. You will have to idle your Xbox for this to most likely work. As well as the Master Romance and the Tower Challenges, there's just a lot to grind, so it may not be the easiest commitment that you've ever made. With that as well, I am of course going to be giving the hardest achievement to Longevity Master. It's just a stupidly high requirement. 25 hours would have been much more reasonable. However, with that folks, we're done with the very first pinata, so thank you all so much for watching. Also remember to come swing by my Twitch as well, where we go for the achievement grinds live. It would be lovely to have you. And also massive props to my amazing Patreon followers once again. Thank you all so much for the additional support. However, I have gone on for long enough today folks, so with that, thank you all so much again for watching. Have a great week, and I will see you all next Sunday. Take care everyone, bye bye for now.